I have to rub my eyes in disbelief because to me, it looks like Donald Trump literally dictated on a dictaphone a motion about the ballroom with complete with social media like capital letters and his syntax and his grammar, and filed it in the wrong court to try to exploit what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner to get his ballroom. And he had it filed in the wrong court because he has no intention of it really having any legal impact. He just wanted a political press release to be filed. We caught it. We'll cover it. We'll dissect it here on MeidasTouch and on Legal AF. Now, this legal document, sure, was signed by a lawyer, I think, Stan Woodward. Stan Woodward, who used to represent Jan Sixers and MAGA and was the co-defense counsel with Donald Trump's lawyers in Mar-a-Lago, now the number 3 in the Department of Justice. Sure, he signed it, but let me read to you from this, and I'm not going to leave anything out from the beginning. And you tell me whether you think Donald Trump himself dictated this exact introduction to this motion. Now, the motion was filed in front of Judge Leon, the district court judge. But the district court judge was divested of jurisdiction when Donald Trump took an appeal to the D.C. Federal Circuit Court of Appeals. They've already set a briefing schedule in the month of May with an oral argument about the ballroom. So why file, how file in front of Judge Leon? I'll get to that in a minute. Let me read to you. And you stop me. You put in comments when you think you figured out who wrote this. Ready? This is how it starts. Quote, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, that's the plaintiff, is a beautiful name, but even their name is fake caps because they add the words in the United States, the National Trust for Historic Preservation. It makes it sound like a government agency, which it is not. That was a run-on sentence opening this motion. In fact, the United States refused to continue funding it in 2005. They are very bad for our country. They stop many projects that are worthy and hurt many others. In this case, they're trying to stop one that is vital to our national security and the safety, capital S, of all presidents of the United States, both current and future, their family, staff, and cabinet members. They were asked by the United States military not to bring the suit because of the top secret nature of the important facility being built. They were shown detailed plans and specifications, but that did not deter them because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, commonly referred to as TDS, as noted by the Democrat Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and are represented by the lawyer for Barack Hussein Obama, Gregory Craig. Come on, who wrote that? That was obviously dictated by Donald Trump. But it goes on talking about the assassination attempts against Donald Trump in the past. On page 2, they say 3 assassination attempts, including the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where an assassin's bullet hit the president's ear is enough. There is absolutely no argument that a woman walking her dog in the vicinity of the White House has standing to stop such a desperately needed structure for the United States of America. Now, what idiot put almost the entire cabinet, almost the entire chain of succession to the president, including the Speaker of the House, the Vice President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Health and Human Resources, all in the same room at the same time for an event in a building that even Donald Trump said seconds after what happened at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday was an unsecure building. Whose idea was that? Donald Trump. Now, here's what he says about where he basically admits that the bulk of the cabinet were all in the same place at the same time. And that's the reason why we need the ballroom. He says on page 5, the attack confirms that this court's injunction is intolerable and unsustainable. In addition to the multiple classified declarations to the contrary, the attack on Saturday night is proof positive that this wrongful injunction should be dissolved. In its recent opinion, the court stated that there is no national security justification for why a ballroom must be constructed immediately. It's going to take 3 years to construct that ballroom. Those assertions were wrong then and indefensible now. The fact that an assassin came mere seconds from shooting the president, along with his family, the bulk of his cabinet, his senior staff, and the Washington press corps, lays bare that D.C. does not have a secure space for a large, high-profile events to accommodate an event with the line of succession for the United States government. Yeah. Whose idea was that? And then he says it should be approved, and the injunction should be dissolved by this judge because John Fetterman, the addled senator from Pennsylvania, says that the ballroom should be approved because people are suffering from the Trump derangement syndrome. And then he quotes Fetterman. And he puts it all in caps, because this is free of charge. Nobody should object to the tearing down of the East Wing and the building of the ballroom. Now, why was it even filed in, sorry to laugh, why was it even filed with Judge Leon? Under the rules of appellate jurisdiction, once an appellate court and a 3-judge panel, in this case Millett, Garcia, and Rayo, took jurisdiction as a special panel over the issue of the ballroom and set the briefing schedule, Judge Leon is divested of jurisdiction. He can't act. I used to think about food constantly. Cravings, guilt, repeat. It was exhausting, and I just wanted something that actually works without making me feel like I'm doing a science experiment on myself. This podcast is sponsored by Veracity. Welcome to an all-natural way to slim down, get energized, and sharpen your focus. Veracity is revolutionizing health by tackling the root cause of so many issues. Metabolism. If your goal is weight loss, you need to try Metabolism Ignite, the #1 doctor-recommended GLP-1 booster and GLP-1 alternative. It's sold out 10 times for a reason. No side effects, no allergens. Metabolism Ignite is a natural, safe, plant-based aid that results in an 85% reduction in hunger and is clinically proven to lose on average 9 pounds in 90 days. I started Metabolism Ignite recently, just 2 capsules with breakfast, and I feel more in control of my hunger throughout the day. Veracity founder and CEO Ali Egan is a certified hormonal health coach, and her personal experience with metabolic issues inspired her to develop holistic solutions for achieving optimal health. It's made with lemon verbena and hibiscus extracts, green coffee bean extract, and magnesium. And even if you're on GLP-1 medications, Veracity is safe to take along with them to boost metabolism and appetite control. Since it's made from 100% natural ingredients and is caffeine-free, clinical trials show no negative side effects. I love that it's scientifically legit and so easy. Just 2 capsules every morning. So before Metabolism Ignite sells out again, make the switch to GLP-1s the natural way. Head to veracityhealth.co and use code LEGALAF for up to 65% off your order. Once again, that's VERACITY health.co for 65% off, and make sure you use my promo code LEGALAF so they know I sent you. Now, they argue that under a rule of appellate procedure, they can file for what's called an indicative order, that the judge would indicate to the appellate court that given the opportunity, he would make a different ruling, like dissolve the injunction so we don't have to go forward with the appeal. So they say on page 3, defendants have appealed this court's preliminary injunction. The appeal divests this court of jurisdiction over its injunction. I agree. You sort of stop there. Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 62.1 provides that if a timely motion is made for relief that the court lacks authority to grant because of an appeal that has been docketed and is pending, the court may state either that it would grant the motion if the Court of Appeal remands for that purpose, or that the motion raises a substantial issue. I'm not sure that applies after the appellate court has already briefed the issue, required briefing, set a briefing schedule into the future. Now, if they want to dismiss their appeal, come back to the appellate court for another round of reconsideration, they can try. But I don't think this is the way. But that wasn't the purpose now, was it? You heard this screed, this political screed masquerading as a 62.1 motion for indicative ruling? So here's what's going to happen. The lawyers who represent the National Trust, yes, Greg Craig, who used to work in the Obama administration, yeah, he's in his 70s, he still has a job as a lawyer, are going to file an opposition paper to the judge making a 62.1 motion on the grounds that I've laid out. Then when that fails, they're going to have to file this where they should have filed it before with the appellate court. And now what they've missed here is that the appellate court is allowing the construction to continue already by way of its order. It is quite clear that from now through May, the appellate court is allowing below ground construction to continue unabated. So why would they have to file to get the ballroom restarted when the ballroom has not been stopped? Because the appellate court is allowing it to continue in construction below ground at least, which is where they need to be from now through May, pending a future order of the court, because they wanted to file something in the wake of the sympathy Donald Trump thinks he's generating for himself because there was a gunman a floor above him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You know, with all due respect, the gunman wasn't even close to Donald. He was about as close to Donald Trump as the gunman was, 4 holes ahead on the golf course in Palm Beach with a gun sticking out of a bush. Let me give a personal experience, right? Which I guess is sort of similar. I was in Las Vegas the night of the festival shooting, okay, that took the life of over 60 Americans and others that were at the festival. When a gunman from the Mandalay Bay with a long rifle and a bump stock fired at the Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. I happened to be there for work. I had a hearing in court on the Monday of that weekend in a case I was handling for a client based in Las Vegas. And I was waiting for my team to arrive at a bar in a casino at the Cosmo when the shooting broke out. Now, at that moment, there were false reports of multiple gunmen all around the Vegas Strip. I was actually, by that point, I was having dinner off the bar, and we were taken as a group by security through the kitchen to what they thought was a safe space, right? I had heard from others that people were going crazy in fear on the casino floor, chips and money flying in the air, people diving under things because we weren't sure where the gunman was. And there were false rumors that there was also a gunman at the Cosmo. Okay. But actually there wasn't. Unfortunately for the 68 or so people that died at the Harvest Festival, he was shooting from Mandalay Bay only. So I get it. I guess I could have thought I was a target at that particular time. And that was a tragedy averted, but a tragedy averted, the tragedy part of it was also contributed to by Donald Trump, who puts almost the entirety of the chain of succession into one room. With Kash Patel as your FBI director and the Secret Service that's been screwing up since before Butler, Pennsylvania. We're going to continue to follow what happens next. I think Judge Leon denies this, directs them back at the appellate court. They can go file what they want at the appellate court, but continue to do the construction because they're effectively lying to the American people about being stopped in their tracks in the ballroom construction. They have not been. Not by way of the appellate court, and certainly not by way of the injunction that's been blocked by the appellate court issued by Judge Leon. We'll cover it all right here on MeidasTouch and Legal AF. Take a minute, come over to Legal AF YouTube channel, help us continue to build that channel, get to 1.2 million. Until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF. F on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.